You look at those AFC teams over there in the playoff picture right now. I guess which team do you trust the most to go on a run and potentially make it into the Super Bowl?
I mean, obviously, the Texans' defense is unbelievable. And if CJ Stroud plays like he has recently, where they're starting to figure themselves out, I obviously have a lot of high hopes for the Houston Texans. I think when you play defense at that level now, they've definitely lost some guys to injuries, which has hurt them a little bit, especially on the interior of that defensive line, which helps out the entire defense. But I mean, I've said this for a few weeks now. Like the Jaguars are underrated, and I feel like they get disrespected.
Yeah, so J.J. Watt, obviously carrying water for the Houston Texans. He used to play for the Texans during his career. That was his team. Texans got a great defense, but when it comes to the playoffs, there's two things about the Texans. If the Texans have to go on the road, all of a sudden their defense isn't quite as scary, because what makes the defense so intense is the crowd noise. The offense is trying to make adjustments at the line. The crowd is really loud, and you've got an intense defense in Houston. If Houston has to go on the road to Denver, or if Houston has to go on the road to New England, like if Houston finishes in that last wild card slot, I think Houston's going to lose that game. Or even if, let's say that they get past that first game, which is going to be against a 2-seed team, and let's say down the road they have to come to Buffalo. Yeah, that's not going to be a good look for them either. I'm not really afraid of Houston in the playoffs, because they're gonna be the last seed, and they're gonna have to go on the road. But what JJ is about to say here about Jacksonville, I think is going to be spot on.
Did a bit at many turns here. They're just quietly going about their business and improving every single game. And Trevor Lawrence is getting better, and they're meshing together. So I think that's happened. And then I just got to watch it last weekend live, and I'll see it again this weekend. When Josh Allen goes Superman mode, you can't stop them.
Facts. You can't stop Josh Allen when he goes Superman mode. I think the biggest thing that hurts Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills really is that we tend to start games very vanilla, very conservative, and we typically in the first half of games cowardly punts, playing not to lose, playing to keep the game close in the second half. If we had a head coach that was a true killer, that really coached to win the game from the jump, it would be a different ball game. What JJ said about Jacksonville, it's spot on. They're kind of very workmanlike. They're just flying under the radar. They're doing very well with their new head coach. My thing with Jacksonville, though, to be honest with you, they don't scare me in the playoffs at all. Maybe it's just because I just don't feel that Trevor Lawrence is really that good of a quarterback. Maybe he is in the short to intermediate game. He doesn't have the arm strength of like a Josh Allen. So when it comes down to it, push comes to shove, if he has to go on the road and play in New England or in Buffalo, in one of these cold climates, in Pittsburgh, or maybe even like in a Denver situation, great defense, cold weather, harder to throw the football, a secondary that's going to play great ball, right? Denver's secondary is outstanding. Buffalo's secondary is really, we're one of the better pass defenses. I think Buffalo's biggest weakness is the rush defense, and that's because we shut the pass down so well that, you can't be perfect, and so that's how teams attack us. They attack us with the run, typically because we play a nickel defense, so we're running just, it's a base 4-man front, and there's only 2 linebackers, right? So 4-man front, 2 linebackers, you got the nickel backer in there, and so typically teams will do a better job of running against nickel. They'll try to run you out of the nickel so that you'll adjust and go to a base 4-3, and when you go to a base 4-3, then they'll try to pass on you, get mismatches against your linebackers. McDermott does a great job with the defense on that, from that standpoint, from shutting down the pass. So, I like the Jaguars. I like what they're doing. But honestly, not afraid of them in the playoffs.
When he goes into that mode and they decide, like, they were down 21-0 on the road in a hat and t-shirt game, and they found a way to turn it around. And then I asked them to put together the stats because I have them again this weekend. Josh Allen's first half to second half stats are unbelievable. Let me lay this out for you here. First half, 64% completion percentage. Second half, 75%. First half, 95 yards per game. Second half, 139 yards per game. First half, 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Second half, 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Now, here's where I think it is the biggest difference, and here's why I think it's different. Rushing. Josh Allen in the first half, 35 rushes, 146 yards, 3 touchdowns. Josh Allen in the second half, 63 rushes, 389 yards, 9 touchdowns.
Jeez.
I think the defenses get worn out trying to contain him, keep him in the pocket, and keep this team bottled up. And the Patriots did an unbelievable job in the first half keeping him bottled up. But
I'm going to disagree with JJ there just a little bit. He's on the right track, but I don't think it's a matter of them wearing down the defense. Josh Allen's going to run more in the second half of games because typically we're behind, and it's more of a desperation. Like, I have to get first downs. I have to move this team down the field no matter what it takes. And so he's got a mentality to run more. It's a more aggressive mentality. And typically, I think the head coach, Sean McDermott, really has, his hands, his fingerprints all over this offense, even though it really, it's coached by the offensive coordinator who does a great job. But his influence is to start games very conservatively, to run the football. Like I said, some cowardly punts, where you're kind of like you're in the opponent's territory. I think there was 2 times in the first half of that New England game where Buffalo is on New England's 44 or 45 yard line and they're punting the ball. I mean, what are you doing? You're punting the ball. It's too far for a field goal, but you're just turning the ball over for what, like a difference of 20 yards in field position. To me, it's a cowardly punt. And when you're down 24-7 in the second half, you got to scrap that cowardly lion, that conservative mindset. You have to, and you have to put it in the hands of your champion quarterback. And that's the night and day difference, I think, between first half, second half with the Bills.
I think you just get fatigued over the course of a game, playing tight man, playing all these contains in the pocket, and then he just wears you down over the course of the game, sees you get tired, and takes full advantage.
It's the old Derrick Henry conversation whenever he was with the Titans. It's like, hey, what the first half's going to look like versus what the fourth quarter's going to look like, very different with Derrick Henry. Now, that's because he was literally thumping him. You're saying the amount of effort that they are trying to put into keeping him contained can wear you down a little bit.
I'm going to call bullshit on that because, the type of effort in keeping him contained, these guys aren't, they got a spy out there. There's nothing crazy. NFL defenses run, spy coverage on, quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, all these types of dual threat quarterbacks. There's always, a certain defense where they have a spy concept. It doesn't wear you down trying to keep him in the pocket. That's nonsense.
Stay with Superman that you're talking about with Josh Allen. Go ahead, D-Bud.
Kind of seemed inevitable, and it's going to be tough. We were talking about it yesterday. It's going to be tough for me, at least, to pick another team and quarterback specifically against Josh Allen once these playoffs starts with Mahomes out of it. But you've had your eye on him. Is there enough around Josh Allen as far as the weapons on offense and then the defense, especially that run defense? Do you think it's enough for them to actually make a run when the playoffs come?
I think the defense is the question. I think on offense, I think their tight ends are such a massive key. You look at the numbers when Dalton Kincaid's on the field versus when he's off the field. When he's out there, he's able to do so much. James Cook is second leading rusher in the league, could possibly get up there in the first category, like just running all over. When he runs wild, their offense clicks. So I do think there's enough on the offensive side of the ball because Josh is Josh. The defense is where you start to wonder and
Yeah, that's spot on. That's exactly right. Dalton Kincaid really, regardless of the numbers in terms of catches and yardage, Dalton Kincaid really is the number one receiver on our offense in terms of that's the guy when he's on the field, he's just different. He really threatens teams over the middle of the field. He has size, he has speed, he has height, catch radius, opens things up for other guys, right? Backs out of the backfield, other wide receivers running crossing routes or mesh concepts. So Dalton Kincaid is a key, although in the past couple of weeks, I'll tell you what, Dawson Knox has been a big part of the offense and showing that he can still make plays. 2 touchdowns, I think, against New England, and maybe even 2 touchdowns the week before. Last week in New England, he actually set the Buffalo Bills franchise record for most touchdown receptions by a tight end in franchise history. So even Dawson Knox is showing that he's still a threat to catch the ball from the tight end position, and is also a very good blocker. And our third tight end, Hawes, I forget his first name. He's a rookie, Hawes. That guy, he can block. And what's interesting about that third tight end, Hawes, I think it's Jackson Hawes. I'm not sure 100% on his first name. But great draft choice by Beane and McDermott. Really like that kid. I like what they do with him, where they're in a 3 tight end or a 2 tight end set on short yardage or goal line, and he'll start out like he's blocking. He'll engage in a block for like 2 seconds, and then he'll slip off the block and just turn around and make himself available. He's caught a couple touchdowns that way, a couple first downs for us that way, because he's a guy that would be overlooked in terms of coverage.
Question about it. Now, you have to give them credit. While they got torched in the first half this last week, they did lock it down in the second half, and they found a way to close that game out. Massive moments. They made plays. So you give them credit there. But even the week before against Cincinnati, the big turnovers for touchdowns, they needed those big plays to do it.
Yep.
So if their defense can tighten it up, that's where it is. But like you said, D, but Superman is Superman, and that Kansas City is not standing there in the way anymore. And I don't like that it's a consistent caveat that we're throwing on it, but it is what it is. That's the reality.
Well, look, you can call it a caveat, you can call it whatever you want, but I mean, Patrick Mahomes has won 3 Super Bowls and he's been to 5. And I mean, that's a lot of people have lost to Patrick Mahomes. The 49ers lost 2 Super Bowls to Patrick Mahomes. The Eagles lost a Super Bowl to Patrick Mahomes. Of course, they won one as well last year. They dominated that game. But, a lot of teams have lost to Patrick Mahomes. That shouldn't be a knock on Josh Allen and the Bills. It is what it is. They're a great team. They've got a great head coach, Andy Reid. And I don't care. They're going through some things right now. They're going to bounce back fairly quickly. Patrick Mahomes, hopefully he'll recover from that ACL injury. And it'll be back to that rivalry between Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, some of the top-tier quarterbacks. The AFC West now is an interesting division. What Sean Payton has done in Denver and what Jim Harbaugh is doing with the Chargers, and then, of course, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. That division is very interesting. So hopefully everything works out with Mahomes and he's back for the start of next season.
Keep on, baby. Especially whenever it's cold weather, what he's going to be able to do.
It's amazing.
We just believe in Josh Allen. And I think, the only thing that's waiting on a Josh Allen resume to be goated is Lombardi. And that's what anybody says is, can he win, can he win, can he win? It's the same conversation that's happened with Lamar. No matter how great you are, no matter how many MVPs, no matter how many capes, Superman capes you put on and win games, or how special you look like, then you get to a stage where it's like, well, how many Lombardis do you have? Can you win the Lombardi? Because that'll be held against you forever. Is this the year that Josh Allen changes that? Start with Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
Announces a pregnancy. Gets married. And wins the Lombardi. Wow. What a run.
Yeah, Josh Allen's story is amazing where he goes on these runs. I mean, his story from the start, coming out of high school, no Division I offers, no college scholarships, no offers. I believe he starts out at a community college. And he's just sending emails out trying to get any college to give him a shot. Wyoming gives him a shot. Coming out in the draft, I believe that year, McDermott and Beane were at the Senior Bowl, and they saw him there. They met with him there. They saw his compete, and they brought him here to Buffalo. He does have these amazing kind of storylines in his background and in his career. Yeah, hopefully it does end in a Lombardi. Look, the Buffalo Bills franchise, come on, 4 straight Super Bowls when I'm a kid, when I'm growing up, 4 straight Super Bowl losses, wide right with Norwood. I've always felt like if Norwood's kick goes in, if it's not wide right, if they win that Super Bowl, they probably go on to win maybe at least 1 or 2 more Super Bowls after that, because the momentum versus everything, all the negativity that was on him after that, this franchise has never won a Super Bowl. So, if Josh Allen, whether it's this year or next year or another year, if this franchise can and Josh Allen can get us to a Super Bowl championship, that's a huge accomplishment in and of itself. solidifies him as a Hall of Fame quarterback. You know, most of the time in the Super Bowls, the quarterback wins Super Bowl MVP. So, you know, it's a Super Bowl victory. It's a Super Bowl MVP. He's been an NFL MVP. It's possible this year he could be a 2-time back-to-back NFL MVP, although Matt Stafford has a really good argument for MVP just based on the fact that, you know, he's got like something like 37 touchdown passes and 5 interceptions. He's just a crazy, phenomenal year that he's having right now. So it's going to be close. It's down to the wire, but I think Josh Allen is doing a lot more with a lot less, which was the argument last year when he won the MVP over Lamar Jackson. And if you think about it, if you took Matthew Stafford and put him on the Buffalo Bills, they would not be anything close to what they are with Josh Allen. But if you took Josh Allen and you put him on the Los Angeles Rams, with their head coach, who's an offensive guru, with their wide receivers and their weapons, Josh Allen would probably have 50 passing touchdowns. You know, he wouldn't need to run for touchdowns because they're stacked. They've got a great passing scheme, a downfield vertical passing game, and Josh Allen's got a cannon for an arm. If you just that's how I look at MVP this year, or the MVP race. If you took the 2 leading quarterbacks for MVP, Matt Stafford in the LA Rams and Josh Allen at the Bills, and you just put them on opposite teams, it's clear that Josh Allen is MVP of the NFL, so he should be back-to-back league MVPs.
For Josh Allen, that would be
that franchise too. Well, you know, because they had the four straight years going losing it. If he can actually bring one to that,
imagine that parade.
We all respect, you know, Bills Mafia as a fan. Well, most of us respect the
Mafia.
fan base. That'd be crazy. 17
new stadium. I mean, this would be like the send off of the last
Oh,
day.
yeah.
Oh my! It's almost all written in the stars.
there.
It's all there. Are they still
Disney-like
calling him
story,
ugly?
right?
No.
Yeah, we don't have to get into that, I don't think.
Oh, he's a sour
After the
Patriots fan, this
pregnancy,
guy.
Let's just say.
He's not ugly. He's handsome.
You don't
He's
got to tell me.
six-
dude.
He's uglier.
You don't got to tell me.
He's
What are we-
6
what are
foot
we- what are we
5.
talking about here?
What's
The Haley Steinfeld heads are.
the Stein fans?
The Stein fan stands.
Get their names
They think
right.
Josh is ugly, JJ. It's messed up.
That's what they said. We don't like it at all. We've actually had to go to bat a couple different times. And Josh,
I mean,
Josh, a friend of the
Maybe
program,
taking a look at this panel, we're not the people here to be judging who looks how, you know?
Neither are these
yeah,
people
that's what
on
we're
the
saying.
internet.
That's what we're saying, Jage. I appreciate you taking an opportunity to grandstand there. We're not saying that he is not attractive. What we're saying is they need to stop talking about our MVP like this. That we don't like.
Look, these guys are crazy. At the end of the day, most women are attracted to a couple of things. Height. Josh Allen is tall. I think he's like 6'4", and money. Josh Allen is loaded. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars. This guy's going to make $500 million before it's all said and done, maybe more. So it's unbelievable. I mean, yeah, that's all just them being goofy.
Josh is handsome. He's 6'5".
That's hilarious.
He's the MVP
I
of
did
the
not know.
NFL.
Cowboy.
Though your little handsome models, Josh Allen would pick them up by the top of their head like this. Actually,
scrunch them into a
smack them
football.
around. Smack them around.
Who do they want? They like
I love
Chevrolet?
Pat McAfee, man. This dude's crazy.
Everybody likes,
hold
everybody
on,
likes Timmy now.
Smart
That's not the guy.
Supreme.
That's not the guy.
And he's with
And this
Kylie,
guy
so
over
you
there,
I
know.
he's
like
a
Timmy.
sour
I'm saying
Patriots
it as a
fan on
good
the left.
thing.
Okay.
Gosh, you guys are really just trying to throw me under the bus.
Yeah, it's kind of been fun. It's kind of been fun. I didn't know this was going to be the day, but I do appreciate
Neither
it.
did I.
How about AJ
That's all
Hawk?
right. I got my shovel, big dog. I'll dig myself out. I'm all good. Ain't no problem.
I mean, that started with AJ going, what are you calling weird? Just real quick, you want to offend an entire group of
He
people?
took a hit off his protein shake and all of a sudden turned into Lex Luthor over there.
No, that's not protein. That's the, what are those things?
Aminos.
Aminos. That's aminos. Bro.
Oh, you don't like my aminos?
Yeah, that's why I speak like that.
Jage, do you drink aminos all day? Is that something you do?
Bro,
I think
aminos
it
are
is. I just had a
proteins,
shake
bro.
after my workout with there were aminos in it. BCAA.
That tracks.
BCAAs, aminos are proteins.